You know that feeling, right? You're just driving along, maybe listening to music, and then, bam, that little red oil can symbol lights up on your dash, and your heart just sinks. So today, we're going to break down exactly what that moment really means. But here's the real mystery, the part that drives everyone crazy. You do the right thing. You pull over, you check the dipstick, and the oil is full. So if the oil level is fine, what on earth is your car trying to scream at you? That's the question we're answering today. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about what that light is actually saying. Then, we'll dive into the usual suspects, the causes, from simple to serious. After that, we'll cover your immediate, non-negotiable action plan. Then we'll see how mechanics get the real story, and we'll wrap it all up with the engine's one golden rule. Okay, let's get right into it. The pressure warning light. The number one thing you need to know is that it is almost certainly not warning you about what you think it is. And this, right here, is the absolute key. There is a huge difference between low oil level and low oil pressure. A low oil level light, which some cars have, just means, hey, you need a top up. No big deal. But this light, the oil pressure light, means the oil isn't circulating properly. And that, my friends, is a full-blown engine emergency. So what even is oil pressure? Well, think of it like blood pressure for your engine. It's the force, the pump, that pushes oil into every tiny little crevice to keep all those fast-moving parts lubricated. Without that pressure, the oil just sits there, and then you get metal grinding directly on metal, which is, yeah, about as bad as it sounds. So if that light is on, what could possibly be causing it? Well, the potential culprits really fall into two different buckets: the simple, relatively easy fixes, and the much more serious, wallet-draining faults. Now, here's a bit of good news. The most common cause, by far, is also the simplest one. It's often just a faulty oil pressure sensor. The sensor itself has failed and is basically lying to you, sending a false alarm. Other simple issues could be a clogged port where that sensor screws in, maybe some damaged wiring, or even something as basic as using the wrong kind of oil. And just to give you an idea, that sensor we're talking about, it's usually a super cheap part. We're talking less than 20 bucks a lot of the time. The real trick, of course, is being 100% sure that the cheap sensor is the only thing that's wrong, because, on the flip side, that light could be telling you the absolute terrifying truth. It could be signaling a genuine, major mechanical failure. We could be looking at a bad oil pump, a completely clogged filter, a blocked pickup tube in the oil pan, or even worn-out internal engine bearings. These are the problems that kill engines. Now, since you have no way of knowing if it's a $20 sensor or a $5,000 engine failure while you're on the side of the road, your response has to be exactly the same every single time. Here is what you must do right now. I really want you to let this sink in. Driving with genuine low oil pressure isn't a gamble you take for the next few miles. We're talking about destroying an engine in a matter of minutes. The potential for catastrophic damage is incredibly fast. So, your emergency checklist is simple and it is not negotiable. Step 1, find a safe place to pull over. Step 2, shut off the engine immediately. Step 3, and this is crucial, do not try to restart it to see if the light comes back on. And step 4, call for a tow. It might feel like an overreaction, but trust me, it's the only safe move. Okay, so you've done the right thing. Your car is on a tow truck on its way to the repair shop. So what happens next? Let's pull back the curtain on how a pro figures out what's really going on. A good mechanic has a definitive test that just cuts right through all the guesswork. First, they'll remove that oil pressure sensor you've been worried about. Then, in its place, they'll screw in a good old-fashioned manual pressure gauge, with a real needle and everything. They'll start the car for just a moment, get a true reading, and compare it to the specs from the manufacturer. And that one test gives a crystal clear answer. It's a fork in the road. If that manual gauge shows good, healthy pressure, then everyone breathes a huge sigh of relief. The problem is almost certainly just that cheap sensor or its wiring. But if that gauge reads a low, it confirms everyone's worst fears. There's a real, internal mechanical issue that needs to be fixed. So all of this, the sensors, the gauges, the tow trucks, it all boils down to one simple, single golden rule. This is the one thing you absolutely have to take away from this. The stakes here are just incredibly high.
Deciding to ignore that light, to just hope it goes away, is a gamble that can literally lead to your engine seizing up solid. We're talking about a catastrophic failure that means you're shopping for a whole new engine or paying for a very, very expensive rebuild.
So here it is, the golden rule. You never, ever, ever ignore the oil pressure light. I don't care if you think it's a false alarm. I don't care if it just came on. The potential cost of being wrong is just far too great. Every single time you see it, you treat it like the emergency it just might be.